Hello, on Forest Focus. The international break is over as far as England are concerned, at least, and we can all forget about them until March. But one man who might not mind them as much as the rest of us is a huge Nottingham Forest and England fan in today's guest, Matt Forde. Matt, how are you?
I'm very good, thanks. Those opening credits are sensational. When did you get them made?
A Forest fan made them. A couple of Forest fan made the music, and a Forest fan made the graphics. But very
mind blowing. The production values.
The only production values on this whole show. Yeah.
Man, that was phenomenal. What a great thing to follow.
Oh well, people. I think the music's growing on people. But yeah, people hated the music. Well, what we need to do is, like on your podcast with John Richardson, just have constantly changing theme tunes. It's a different one every time I listen.
Mix it up. Annoy people the most you can. I think that's my rule for podcasting.
It works on this sometimes.
Exactly.
We've been trying to arrange this since July, I think, when a general election got in the way, and you decided to interview a candidate from, was it every constituency in the land?
I tried to interview a candidate in all 650 constituencies.
How far did you get?
I did about 150, which in 3.5 weeks wasn't bad.
Oh yeah,
I was cramming them in, and it was quite a nice way to enjoy the election, because I think there can be I found that election very stressful to watch in terms of the national coverage. So just to talk to people who were standing, people's local candidates, was a far more refreshing, and it just reassures you actually that and I've always believed this, most people who go into politics are good people who are trying to change the world for the better as they see it, and that we just disagree on what that is. And interviewing 150 of them reinforced that. Most people, whatever party they were standing for, were really sound. So that was positive.
I spent the international break. I did watch England last night, and I know you didn't actually, because you said you were gigging. As I'd already written the intro, and I wasn't going to change it at 3 seconds' notice. But I spent the international break with my wife, and we went to London, and we did a tour of the Houses of Parliament. And whatever you think about politics, it was very interesting.
It's a stunning building. It was. Yeah. So, what was your highlight?
Just being in the chamber, I think. I mean. Yeah. Westminster Hall as well. We'll get onto Forest for people who are listening, but it is fascinating historically, being in the hall that's 1,000 years old, and in the chamber, and standing next to the Speaker's got a packet of mince tucked away down the side of his chair, and all that stuff. So yeah, we did that. We went to a not particularly good West End show the night before, and the audience etiquette question as well. If someone is on their phone all the way through and just yakking all the way through it, I mean, as a performer, would you call them out, do you think, if it was happening in one of your shows?
It's a nightmare. I think it's up to the venue staff to enforce it, because it's not fair on the performer to have to police the crowd, because the venue says no photography. There's in cinemas, people used to come in and tell you to shut up, and that's the way it should be. I can't believe in a West End theatre that wasn't done. So the problem is, if you're a performer, you can't really see what's going on, because all the lights are in your eyes and the audience are in blackout, and that's the way it should be. So if there's sometimes the danger is you hear a sort of murmur, and if you're going too hard, sometimes it turns out it's someone who's not very well, or there's something else going on, and then you think, oh no, you've sort of misread it. So it shouldn't be left to the performer to deal with that. So I'm appalled. I mean, the fact that you walk out on stage, sometimes you can see people's faces illuminated by their mobile phones. You can't deal with all of those. That's up to the venue. So, what show was it?
It was a musical. It was the Michael Jackson musical, which I'm not giving out the performers because they're all sensational, but it's a bit of a problematic topic when it's his life story and they don't address almost all the issues, allegations against him. It's set in 1992, but the music's brilliant and everything. But the people next to us, the guy was on his phone. He was on Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp, and his missus, I assume, was talking all the way through it to him and the person next to him.
So, what were they saying? Are they going to bring up the allegations?
No, they were speaking. I think they were Russian. So I got to the interval, and I tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Mate, you're ruining this whole effing show," to him. And he looked a bit dumbfounded. And then I started saying to his wife, "Why is he? What's going on? You're talking all the way through it?" And she said he doesn't speak any English. So she said she was translating for him, which was nonsense, because she was talking to the person the other side of her. So anyway,
good for you. Good for you for saying something, though.
Well, yeah, because he paid a load of money for the ticket. I mean, I'm a mild
It's
man,
outrageous.
but yeah. So we
I
moved.
think like people being on their phones. I mean, people do it at football matches. Obviously, that doesn't put the players off. It's different. But I think you're at this thing. It's only going to last an hour and a half. Why are you?
Yeah.
People just on their phones all the time now. You think you're missing this thing that you paid for. You're trying to get a ticket for Forest. They're gold dust. You manage to get in the stadium and then you're on your phone.
Yeah, I know. We can't get Wi-Fi in Forest anyway. We should talk about Forest because we've done 6 minutes and not mentioned it. You're an optimistic, upbeat fan all the time. It's easy for all of us this season. Are you giddy? Are you insufferably giddy around friends at the moment or not?
I'm loving it. It's magic, isn't it? You know, we've obviously for a long time we lived in the past and not just the European days, but finishing third in 1994-95. So now to be actually third with this current crop of players after the couple of seasons that we've had. And I think last season, obviously we were in a bit of a mess, but you could see that we had very talented players. You could see that there was a nucleus of a very good team. And then Nuno having a pre-season with them obviously has made a huge difference, as has bringing in Milenkovic. It's fantastic. I'm just delighted for all of us, but really delighted for them as well because they've been through the mill a bit and now they're getting the rewards of their talent and their hard work, and it's just so good to watch. We're brilliant to watch, and the whole country's talking about how good we are to watch, how refreshing it is, and all that. And I'm glad that it's moved us on from talking about VAR and refs and all that rubbish. I hated all that. I just thought, man, this doesn't suit us. We're not Millwall. We're not, constantly feeling like the authorities are against us is not a comfortable feeling. So you just think it's far nicer to be talking about playing good football, getting good results. That's what it's meant to be about.
Obviously, you were a big fan of Steve Cooper as well, and I think everyone's moved on from him now and loves Nuno. I mean, how have you adapted to Nuno? Are you a huge fan of him at the moment as well?
Absolutely. I mean, how could you not be? I mean, the results, ultimately, it's about how well they do. And part of the reason why we'll always love Steve Cooper is he got us promoted when everyone else had failed. So he's got a very special place in Forest history forever. The job of Nuno then was obviously to not just keep us up, but kick us on. And that's what he's done. I mean, I kind of feel for him a bit because obviously when he came in, you could tell the fan base was reeling from the fact that Cooper had gone. And it's very awkward for Nuno to come into that. And really, there weren't any Nuno chants for quite a long time. And it was just like, I think people were trying to figure out how they felt about the bloke. I'll support anyone who's the Forest manager. So you want them to do well. And he's obviously so tactically astute. The way that we defend as a unit has been really the bedrock of everything we've achieved this season. So how can you not be in awe of this bloke? You know, he's taken a group of players that were in danger, and now God knows where we'll finish. Obviously, like we'll judge it at the end of the season, but he's taken us on a ride, and that's, so it's actually phenomenal to get two managers back to back that have that connection. I don't think we've ever had that before since went from Brian Clough to Frank Clark. Really, it's been a few up and downs, and then managers we quite liked for a bit, and then we've gone from an absolute club legend in Cooper to now a man who is writing his own legend, and God knows where he'll take us. He's allowing us to really dream, and that's magical.
And he's a very likable guy as well, in like a different way. Like he's more Frank Clark than Brian Clough type in terms of personality and being animated, but he's a really nice bloke, I think.
Yeah, that comes across. I mean, he takes the job very seriously, and I think that's the main thing I really like about him is how seriously he takes the job. Then you see the other side of him, particularly the stuff that's been on the club's social media, where with Warriors, I think Warriors United or Warriors FC.
Yeah, Warriors United.
Yeah, and oh my God, he's so good. He's so good. He's clearly a really empathetic person. He loves other people. He's got a big heart. And it's nice to see that side of him as well, because his job is to get Forest to win as many games as possible, and he's been very good at that. But it is also nice when you see, because he can, I just love how seriously he takes it. He's obviously very intense. He wants them to play a particular way. He obviously has game plans that they've been, on the whole, really good at executing. But he's also a lovely, warm guy with a phenomenal smile and twinkly eyes. And yeah, it's great.
It must be hard, though, to be that person. It's so intense being a Premier League manager. Like, could you do it? The kind of the thing, how much it would take out of you as a person, the pressure and everything.
It got to be one of the worst jobs in the world. Obviously, they're paid well for it, but the pressure, the abuse, just I mean, you cannot make a single mistake in the Premier League. It's a relentless league. And if you're managing a club like Forest, which is out of the Premier League for so long, then you've just kept us up. The psychology of them I find fascinating, that it's such a perilous job. You're never really fully secure, regardless of what club you're at. A bad run and it's the end. So they're obviously made. I think sometimes we can underestimate how resilient these people are, and we project a lot of things onto them about how much they do or don't care, or how much they do or don't know, or don't understand, or whatever. He is clearly an exceptionally bright man, and you have to be so tough to be a football manager. So no, I couldn't do it. I think it would get to me. I think if I had people behind me go, fucking hell, Nuno, I'd turn around and go, fuck off. Do you want to do it? You come in here then. I'm out of here. I'm going down the Trent Nav. I'm going down the big shed. You take over. I won't be able to
Well done.
it.
That's a good advert for them already.
Man, I think I plugged the life out of them last time I was here.
Every time
I've not been for a while, but every time I see it on socials, it's like they've built some more zones and screens or something. Like, it's just, they've got some sort of expansionist policy down at the big shed. If I was Meadow Lane, I'd be worried about my borders.
Yeah, they'll be buying up land around the pub like Forest are, I think. Yeah, build a new stand. You mentioned Milenkovic earlier. I mean, you haven't been on since. In fact, I don't know when you were last on. Back end of last season, I think. Who are the players in this team that you love, and are you able to fall in love with them? Because these days players might come, they might go, the way football is today.
Well, that's why Yatesy is so special, and I've always loved him. I never understood the abuse he got, and the thing is, I know that I'm just a fan. I don't see a lot what goes on in games. I think sometimes you can get a general sense. You think, oh, we're quite hard to. I've been to 2 games this season: Chelsea away and Newcastle at home. And Chelsea away, you could just see that Cole Palmer wasn't able to get through. We were really good at just not letting them through. Now, I couldn't tell you whether we were switching to 5 in possession or 4 out or whatever. I don't really understand what that means anyway. But you could see, well, they can't get through us. We're frustrating them, and a team that attacks very well. So I could see that. So that's clearly a difference. We're harder to break down, and that's visible. And also, Matt Sells is an excellent goalkeeper. That's why Milenkovic is so important, because obviously Murillo's been superb, but defensively last season, partly Matt Turner, partly just sort of the defensive line wasn't strong enough. Murillo plus Milenkovic is incredible. But Yates, obviously I've fallen in love with all of them. Hudson-Odoi, Elanga, Gibbs-White, Anderson. My God. But Yates obviously has that personal connection, and he's been through it, and he's had to raise his game continually through his career. And he does so much. He's so good at disrupting an opponent and slowing a game down. And he puts his body on the line every single game. There's not a single game where he gives anything less than 100%. And I could see that as a fan when we were in the Championship and people getting on his back. I was like, I don't really understand what happens, but I can see that this bloke is like sweating blood for that shirt, and he's really talented. So I never understood where it came from. So it makes me howl when people are like, oh, he's won me over. You're like, he shouldn't have had to. He's great. It was obvious he was great. So I'm delighted for him that he obviously loves the club, and he loves the fans, and he's funny, and he's so brave. And you need players like that. I mean, I thought against Newcastle, they are a big, strong team, and you need players like that. And they probably had a couple more than we did the other weekend. Yatesy is one of those players. You need them. You can't get bullied off the ball. So I love him. Hudson-Odoi. I mean, Ola Aina. Like, how do you not fall in love with those people? And they all look so happy to be playing for Forest. They look delighted. Like, it looks like a real pleasure for them. You can really see it. And I think at times in football, you can tell when playing for a club or a country is hard. For England, obviously, it was hard for a long time. Manchester United, the last few years, it's looked like hell to wear that shirt. Forest, for a long time, didn't look a particularly great place to be a professional footballer. But now, they all just look so delighted. You see them dancing on the pitch afterwards. You see the stuff they put on their social media. I love them all. In fact, I can't tell you a player in the squad that I don't love. I'd marry every single one of them.
Do you see, as a fan of the 90s like me, kind of similarities between the mid-90s team? I asked David Phillips this when he talked the other week about players that kind of fit into a style of play. You know what they're going to do. Like you had Ian Woney and Steve Stone, Stan Collum up front, Brian Roy. You had a solid back four. And I feel like we've kind of got that now. We've got Langren, Hudson-Odoi. We've got Chris Wood. We've got Gibbs White. Do you see kind of any kind of correlation between that team that did so well in 94, 95?
Oh, definitely, yeah. An out and out striker who's in form, like that makes such a difference. Really, I think the main thing is obviously the league position and the fact that it's just such a happy place to be. It feels really loose and positive. It just feels like it's all clicked. You know, for years, even the last couple of seasons, there were times you couldn't string 3 or 4 passes together. You think, oh my God, this is just hell. Whereas now you're like, oh, we know what we're doing. They're obviously clear about what they're meant to do. They're capable of doing it. That squad, you know, think of the squad that we came up with. And obviously they were all like low knees anyway. So that's why we had to buy so many players. But Cooper trying to figure out what his first 11 was. And then the genesis to get in here to where we are now. And it's just that incremental change. I mean, who would have thought that we'd do so well without Taiwo? You know, at one point we were like, well, without him, we're doomed. If he's not fit, it's all over. And now you're like, don't bring Chris Wood off. You know, like, what's he bringing on Taiwo? It's incredible how just your ambitions and your perspectives, they're just changing all the time. And obviously this season's been such a lesson in that, is that you think, okay, you know, what we've all been saying, mid-table would be lovely. We don't want another relegation fight. And then we are all justifiably now dreaming about Europe. And I don't think it's mad to do that. And I think we should enjoy dreaming about it. Because I think sometimes you get a situation where obviously we're led really by what happens on the pitch. If it's going well, we're happy. If it's not going well, it's harder. So we've stayed up for a couple of seasons. And the first season was like, we're just happy to be here. Thank God we stayed up. Last season was still a little bit of that, but please don't put us through that again. We were slightly wearing thin of a relegation, mate. We didn't want another one. So to not be in that position, for the players to be playing so well, it just feels like we've all reinforced each other, really, players and fans.
Yeah, it's mad how much things have changed. Like also when we came up, you're right, we couldn't string three or four passes together for quite a while. We were quite attacking at the start, but then we went really defensive. And like you think about Murillo's in a Brazil squad, a full senior Brazil squad. I was trying to think of the last Brazilian player we had while you were talking there. And I don't know if you remember, I think it was Rodrigo Eli, who we signed in 21-22, who didn't kick a ball for us. And it just sums up, we were signing players like that 3 years ago. And now we're signing Hudson-Odoi and, like Murillo. Just the quality of player is pretty insane how much things have changed so quickly, really.
It is, and Gibbs White, and there are so many players now in our starting 11 where you think they could end up anywhere. They could end up at the biggest clubs in the world. So let's just, and obviously that's quite sad because you think at some point we're going to have to say goodbye. You know, it's a bit like the Christmas decorations. You're like, they're going to have to come down at some point.
I'm going to interject there because I saw you put something out on Twitter about, did you say about putting Christmas decorations up on Twitter the other day?
Yeah, I think I'm going to put them up next week.
No.
Is that too early? I mean, come on, man. November's almost over.
It's got to be the 1st of December, hasn't it? Sure.
I think that's too late. I think Christmas is too big for December. I don't understand why December gets to hog it. I think it's getting cold. It's getting dark. It's freezing when you wake up in the morning. Let's make our lives a little bit easier. Put some fairy lights up. Start eating chocolate. And at night, eat rich meats and red wines.
I had a mince pie on the train down to London, and I instantly thought they've been in the shop since like September. I love mince pies. Like, why am I denying myself a mince pie? And I was sticking to my December the 1st principle. But yeah, Mikey, who's on this podcast, has been wearing Christmas jumpers ever since we went third in the table.
What a legend, man! The thing with mince pies. Why do we only restrict that to Christmas? You know, you wouldn't only say, well, apple pies, I only eat them in July. Or pork pies are only for October. Mince pies taste great. They are objectively a great treat. And yet we force ourselves to be restricted. Well, I say, let's be free. Let's eat mince pies all year round. And Cadbury's cream eggs.
Can you still? I haven't seen those for years. Can you still get them?
Yeah. Oh, man. Matt, please. I had a lot earlier this year. I mean, what's great is we'll have Christmas. Sadly, it'll be over, but it comes around every year. January the 1st, the cream eggs are in the shops. We can start looking forward to Easter when we stuff ourselves full of chocolate. Basically, I think all year is me just thinking of different excuses that I can stuff my face. The Euros are on. I've got a drink tonight. It's Christmas. I need to eat a lot of meat. It's Easter. I need chocolate. It's Whitsun. Let's all have a cottage pie. I don't know, whatever, link it. We're animals, aren't we? It's just, let's find reasons to treat ourselves.
True, but let's be free is a good message, certainly. You were talking about Murillo and the quality of Forest players, right? About mince pies.
Yeah, but he's class. I mean, he is fantastic, and he could end up. You could see him playing for Man City or Real Madrid or Barcelona, anywhere. You could end up anywhere. So he'll be one of those players that in years to come will say, he started at Forest.
Yeah, Roy Keane type, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. He's sensational. And also, he seems so zen about it all. He just seems so chilled out. I can't believe it, how you can be such an intense player and so focused and so precise, and yet he seems to be quite nonchalant about it.
I think I'm right in saying congratulations. I saw something on Twitter, which I'm sure is from his Instagram feed, that his wife's pregnant. So I think I'm saying congratulations correctly there to Murillo and Mrs. Murillo. Yeah.
What a year he's having.
I know. Got married, father, Brazil international, Premier League star. Yeah.
Exactly. Good on him.
Not too bad. Not too bad. Right, we'll carry on in 1 second, but just a word for the aforementioned Trent navigation. Coming up, Christmas party, the 29th of December, starting at 7 p.m. Guest list includes Frank Clark and Julian Bennett. It's for Punjabi Forest. Profits go to Emmanuel House for a homeless charity there. And tickets are £20, including food. Go to gigantic.com and search Punjabi Forest. So there you go. It should be a wonderful night at the
Do you know what? That's so cool because it'll be broadcast in a few weeks, but I've done Celebrity Mastermind.
Oh yeah,
and I did it in aid of Emmanuel House.
Oh, nice.
So they got my charity fee. I can't reveal how well I did, but Forest was my specialist subject.
Forest in general or a specific era?
So it was Forest in the top flight under Clough, so 77 to 93.
I do really badly on that. I think I'd have to be more modern to do well on it, I reckon. Did you have to do a lot of research for it then? Because, you weren't around for a lot of that.
No, but obviously it's so burned into all of our minds, isn't it? Our phenomenal history. And then it was the era where I first started going to watch. So I've got very vivid memories of late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was nerve-wracking doing it on Forest because you think, if I get any question wrong, I'm going to look like a dick. So I was very nervous going into it. So I don't know exactly when it's on, but it's about Forest and it's in aid of Emmanuel House. So it felt relevant to mention it.
No, very good, very good. Keep an eye out for that, everyone. We need to discuss a couple of players that are sort of pertinent to international news. Chris Wood has scored in the last 2 games for New Zealand, 5 goals in 2 games. I think it was against Vanuatu and American Samoa. So I've got to give him a lot of credit just for turning out, because they don't need him for those games, but he absolutely loves it. They're in the qualifying semi-final, so I think they're 2 games away from the World Cup. But it's sort of another thing to love Chris Wood about, isn't it? They'll just play in those games.
I think it's brilliant. And also, if you were him, you would absolutely do it. If you're tearing it up in the Premier League, this is the time to go home and be welcomed as a king and to help your country. I love him. And again, he seems like such a calm bloke. Every interview with him is, just, I don't know whether that must be part of it, like the character of a team as well. Obviously, if you're managing a team, you don't want too many people who are rebels or dissenters or whatever. You need some passion in there, but just the general tone of them all, they all just seem happy, calm, just like, I love him. He just seems, sometimes after games, you would never know that he was a professional footballer who just scored goals in the Premier League sometimes. He just, the sweat and the shirt give it away. But apart from that, it's like they've just interviewed some guy at a bus stop. He's just like, he's so calm. He just, I can't get over it. You just think, man, you are doing something. It's obviously they have a different perspective, don't they? They're doing their job. They're obviously aware that we adore them. But like for fans, when you meet, I'm sure it's the same for you when you talk to ex-players on here. We remember things in better detail than they do.
Oh yeah, definitely.
For them, they're like, oh yeah. I mean, I've met footballers who are like, I'm not really that bothered. I just happen to be good at it. They're not obsessed. They're like, I can kick a ball. It paid the bills. That's it. You know, they're grateful for the support they were given in the time that they had it, but they're not all. We think they're going to be as obsessed as we are, and a lot of them aren't.
Oh yeah. I think Nathan Tyson was on here once. He said he thought 80% of players in the dressing room just saw it as a job, which is sort of good and sort of depressing. But I think we've got a good bunch here right now, certainly.
They're all gods. I mean, I think if we finish, let's say we get into Europe, there has to be some sort of parade. There has to be some sort of party. You have to celebrate these things when they happen. They're so rare. And I would understand why not, because they say, oh, you know, maybe if we win something in Europe, but you're like, I would want some sort of party. I mean, I guess the big shed will do something.
Yeah.
We just hope the big shed expands across Nottingham.
Into Market Square.
Man, you have to celebrate these things. Even like being fifth now is great.
We can win the FA Cup.
Definitely. Do you know what? I think we could have won it maybe a couple of years when we were in the Championship. We could definitely. That's why that Newcastle game in the League Cup was so annoying. She thought, could win the League Cup, definitely. So now it's all on the FA Cup. We could definitely win it.
I think so.
Man, I want to get to Wembley again with Forest. It's been too long.
All those years ago.
I know.
Another player
come on, man. Let's start going to Wembley regularly again.
Oh, like the 90s, yeah, and the 80s. Another player to mention is Ola Aina. Kind of different kind of character as well, but he withdrew from international duty and with a knee problem, and it sounds like he's a bit of a doubt for the Arsenal game, which would obviously be bad news. But I suppose we've got Nico Williams, who was one of our stars of the second half of last season. Would you be terrified to lose Ola Aina for a week, 2 weeks, a number of weeks?
It's a shame because he offers you so much, doesn't he? Like, his pace is incredible. That City game last season where he just left Kyle Walker for dead was incredible. Like, this guy's pace, and obviously, you know, the goal he got the other week, he offers you so much. But Nico is a phenomenal crosser of a ball. The way that he can ping a ball across, it's almost like it curves late. He's got a way of getting balls across into that 6-yard area. So I think we'll miss Ola Aina, but Nico Williams is a phenomenal footballer. And that's what's good now is the depth. You think, well, those games when Gibbs White wasn't playing and Anderson was out of this world. Absolutely incredible. You're like, well, in a way, I sort of want to see Anderson play more now. You know, it's great. What a great problem to have. When you kind of you almost want some players to not have to play so that you can get to watch these others. It's great.
Yeah, are you a fan of Jota Silva? Because every fan seems to be. He feels like your kind of player.
I love him. His impact, isn't he? When he came on against Newcastle, you're like, well, this is it. Someone who's going to disrupt stuff and get in. And he's got a goal or two in him, hasn't he? You know, he's great. I think he's obviously a bit tempestuous, maybe, but I think he's fantastic. And he offers you something. He's exactly the sort of player you want to bring off the bench. Someone who's going to move around a lot and get into areas and cause problems and have a go from the edge of the box. And, you know, he'll shake a game up. So he is the definition of an impact sub, really. I think he's brilliant.
Just on Morgan and England as well. Like I said at the top, I know you've been gigging and you're touring and doing lots of other stuff, but you are a huge England fan. To have a Forest player back in the England squad for the first time since, I don't know when actually, Steve Stone, Collymore, Pearce. I don't think we would have had anyone since then. It's pretty mad to have one of our own players, and he feels like one of our own players now because he obviously loves it being here. You must I don't know, have you seen him play? We wouldn't have seen him play because it was in Lansdowne Road, wasn't it? Or wherever they play now. You wouldn't have seen him in an England shirt live yet.
No, that's right. I went to one of the games at Wembley the other week in the last round of Nations League games, and Carsley didn't bring him on, which I was a bit gutted about. I really wanted to see him at Wembley. But he obviously got that assist the other night against Greece. Again with him, he could end up anywhere, Morgan Gibbs White. He is a phenomenal talent. And it's so cool, like just the England thing. Obviously, Murillo getting called up for Brazil that's really as big as it gets, really, like Brazil. But seeing Forest players in an England shirt again, it's just like it's another sign of proof that we are growing and getting better, and that we're on the right track. And obviously, what's happening with England and Southgate had said this, is that future England managers are going to have to recruit from lower down. They'll probably have to call players up from the Championship. And I was worried about that. But actually now I think, obviously there are just less English players in the Premier League. So that's just, you want players playing for England really to be playing at the top level, but that doesn't mean that they're less talented. And if you can set England up in a way where it replicates a club as much as you can, which is what I think Southgate did, then effectively you've got a framework where you can bring players in. You think, well, Elliot Anderson would be amazing for England. I mean, there are other, Yatesy, I think, would be great. I don't think it's beyond the realms that Ryan Yates gets an England cap. So then you think, well, actually, we've had so-called bigger names in the past playing for England. It hasn't always necessarily worked. And you think you've still got Bellingham, Kane, Foden, Palmer, Saka. There are still exceptional players there that are big names. And if you bring in Gibbs White, Anderson, say Ryan Yates, whatever, there's no reason that England can't win something, but with players that are playing in teams that are slightly lower down the league, because you've set England up. And I think Thomas Tuchel coming in is really exciting. I think that's such a thrill to have appointed a manager with the sort of record that he's got and who's managed in this country. Because Southgate really moved us on. And I really don't understand a lot of the negativity around him. He took us from nowhere. We were in the pits of despair when he took over in 2016. He gets us to the World Cup semi-final and 2 Euros finals, one of which now we should have won. And that is simultaneously his greatest moment. And also the moment where he kind of failed, really. He got us to that final, we should have won it. And he should have been able to affect that game and get us over the line, because we were the better team. We were at home. I mean, everything was going for us. But he's moved us on. So now, effectively, it is about bringing in an elite manager to finish the job. And I think Thomas Tuchel coaching, Kane, Bellingham, Saka, Foden, Palmer, Walker, Pickford's still great. The World Cup's only, a year and a half away?
It's in America, though, isn't it? I just feel, I wonder if it's too hot for us. I don't know.
Oh, man. Well, yeah, there is that. If they don't collapse from dehydration, it's coming home.
You need Jack Charlton on the touchline.
Exactly. Man, that was like the little bags of water, John Aldridge and Ray Houghton. Oh, that was so funny.
I know. Hudson-Odoi as well. He could be in breakthrough.
He could definitely be there. And that's what's with him. We all remember him being at Chelsea and everyone saying, this guy's the future of England. And then for whatever reason, things didn't work out from there. I'm so pleased that he's been able to revive his career and his reputation at Forest. Because you think it must be immensely frustrating to be that talented and not find the right place. You know, maybe a coach or a manager thinks you don't fit their style, or people fall out, whatever it is, injuries. You think it must be, the last few years must have been so annoying for him, knowing that he's got that amazing talent, wanting an outlet for it. He comes to Forest. No one knows really how it's going to go, and he's just exploded. It's brilliant. And it's so cool that we're the place where it's happened. That goal against Liverpool will just... You know what I love is, this is what's mad. The other week when we were third, you're like, actually, I don't want Liverpool to pull away. You've got to stay in the title race. But then equally you're thinking, yeah, but I don't want anyone else to beat them. I like the fact that we're the only ones who've beaten them. Oh, man. Football fans, you just lose your head at the slightest whiff, the faintest whiff of any sort of successful victory. And immediately we're in this. One defeat, it's all over. It's like, it forces you to be like a manic depressive or bipolar or something. Like, depending on how things are going, I either think everything in the world is wonderful or everything is shit. And then we score again. It's like, even in a game, you just like oscillate between these huge extremes. That's why it's great. I don't think I've made it sound great.
No, after Newcastle, we were like, oh, we've all got carried away. That was the topic on the podcast for, I don't know, the next 2 episodes. We got carried away. Are we going to finish 14th again and, or worse and all that kind of stuff? We didn't think or worse, but yeah, that's football fandom for you, certainly. Yeah,
and it's difficult because that's the first home game that I've been to this season. So I thought, Newcastle at home. And now you think, wow, we'll have them. Newcastle at home, that's an absolute shoo-in. It's almost a dead rubber. And then... Murillo scores. You think, have we figured figured out a way to basically hack the Premier League. Like, what has he done where we're like, we can just sort of score and then just kind of just see a game out. And then obviously the second half, they were incredible. Oh, man. But that's what's great about live sport is you never really know what's going to happen.
No, that's what sets it apart. Definitely.
You know, like obviously you want that. If you're not getting to many games, then there's such a premium on them. You're like, this, I need to see us win or get something. So when you don't, you're like, oh, man. But it's always worth. It's so much back. I miss it so much when I'm not there. It's never the same watching it on telly. Being there is, and Forest, man, I know, and other people do say it, it is such a special ground. And it's so cool that good things are happening there now. It feels like such a hallowed place in the way that a lot of other football stadiums don't, whether they're identikit or whatever. Or even just the support base. I'll go to games in London sometimes if I'm not working. I'll go and watch any live sport. I say that I'm not sure I'll go to rugby again, but it's just I've never been to a good rugby game live. I've tried. I've never seen a good one. You go to say big. So I've been to Chelsea, Spurs, various grounds, and with the big Premier League clubs, the support base has become really international. So the benefit of that is if you're going there as a neutral, you're basically amongst other neutrals as well, people from America or China, Russia, whatever, and just other Brits who like the Premier League. So that's nice because you're like, it feels sedate. I don't feel like I've got to pretend I'm a Chelsea fan or whatever. The downside is if that's happening at your club, it kills the atmosphere because there are so many tourists there. It's made it more pleasant. It's more safe. That's good. But it's lost its identity. That hasn't happened at Forest. Partly because of the stadium size, partly because we've not been in the Premier League as long as some of those other bigger clubs. Maybe if we grow the stadium and everything, and let's hope that happens and the success comes, maybe that's a problem we'll eventually have. But we've retained that. It's still got its soul. It's still 30,000 people basically from Nottingham there every weekend who really, really care and are really, really invested. And that creates a different sort of atmosphere. We're still deep. People there are still so intense about it. And I think that's the difference. It's not just the fact that the stadium is historic and it's not an identikit stadium that takes it. It's all those other things that have happened at other Premier League clubs haven't happened at Forest yet. So we've still got that. That's why it feels so. You see people on social media saying it all the time, away fans. It's the best stadium. It's the best atmosphere they've seen all season. So being there, even when we lose, is still, it's like, oh man, I love that place. I love the look of it. I love the colour red. I love the smell of it. Love Trent Bridge. You're like, man, we are so lucky to support this club and to have that as our home and for all these good things to be happening now. It's been so long.
You should have a listen too. This is a shameless plug as well. For the previous episode of the podcast is about match day at the City Ground. Not by me. It's produced by a proper podcast producer who did it for us voluntarily. And it talks about the walk over Trent Bridge, and there's a guy who plays a cornet in the city, and he speaks to a chap who flies over from Northern Ireland with his mate every home game, gets up at 2 a.m. It's really good. You'll like it. It's got loads of good feedback. If anyone listening hasn't listened to the episode on match day at the City Ground, previous episodes, I'm going to immediately,
after we do this, I'm going to have my lunch and I'm going to listen to that immediately.
You'll love it. It won't let you down, I promise. It's really good.
Do you know what I'm jealous? You know the people I'm most jealous of in life? Forest season ticket holders.
Yeah.
You don't, well, maybe you do know how lucky you are. You have the best life possible. It's so cool to be able to go every week. To be able to go to watch Forest every week is such a great thing to have in your life. And I miss it. I miss having a season ticket. Because you're part of, if you go once in a while, obviously I'm following it all the time. I'm obsessed. But you kind of feel like, oh, I haven't heard that chant before. You kind of feel like, oh, there's loads of new people at this school now. You kind of feel like you've missed, like, even though you've been following all the games, you know what's been happening. Whereas if you're there all the time, you're just so connected to the club. You are part of the club. You are the club. And I just think, oh man, my dream. You know, people are like, I'll retire and maybe go live in abroad or get a yacht or whatever it is, whatever people's fancy is. Mine is, I want to be able to have a Forest season ticket again. I want to be able to go every week for years and years and years and years. It's such a great. Oh man, I am.
If you
so
can, it
jealous.
probably means you've either really old or you've been cancelled for saying something hideously offensive in your career's ended.
Yeah. If I ever get cancelled, the first thing I'm doing is buying a Forest season ticket. But man, you just think, oh, wouldn't that be great to be able to go every week? Oh,
what's if you don't mind me asking, then has the fan experience changed for you a lot since your surgery? Then can you go in like the Trent end, or do you, because of I guess you've got less mobility, do you have to go in hospitality and that kind of stuff?
Oh yeah, I'm forced. My hand has been forced into the hospitality area. I mean, obviously it's easier I struggle to sit on. I've still got some lingering nerve pain from the surgery, and if I sit on a hard surface for too long, it triggers nerve pain in my legs and feet. So if I can sit on a comfy chair, that helps. Also, just because I've got a stoma and I need to catheterize, I need to be fairly near a toilet. And I'm still on. I mean, the last time I went, I was down to one walking stick. So once I'm off that, it'll be easier. Once I know where disabled toilets are and things, I'm okay. So I should be all right, actually. It's not too bad. It's also, a lot of it is just about confidence. It's about not getting worried about, my balance is still a bit iffy. So you don't want to fall over. At first, actually, the first game I went to last season, I was just petrified about it. It's the first time I'd been to a football ground with a colostomy bag. You just think, oh man, you don't want it to burst or anything to happen. But then you think, really, the fundamentals are still the same whether I was sat at home. I was still just sat down for a bit watching something, and it's been a real lesson for me in overcoming anxieties and fears. Not that they were that big, and obviously people at Forest are friendly. People would help you. There's help at hand. I mean, if it was really bad, you just leave the stadium. It's not. I think sometimes you think, I'm at a football match, the worst, most embarrassing place something could happen, but there'd be tons of people there that would help you. And lots of Forest fans have been just so nice and kind to me. So a lot of that is just like the fears you put in your own mind rather than anything that's based on any actual fact. So I think I'd be fine to sit anywhere, really. But obviously, when you're maybe a little bit more vulnerable, and I've got to carry I have to carry like catheters and wipes and things. We've always got like a little rucksack with medical supplies in it. He's oh, sorry, mate. And I just get past you like lugging a bag around. It's not. I'm a man. I like to travel light. I don't like having bags and stuff. So like having to always have stuff is a bit of a bollock ache. But that's true if I'm going to the pub or going out for dinner. It's the same. So I'm getting better now. I'm getting less worried, and I think I could comfortably sit. Although I don't know. I don't know what the accessible facilities are like in. I've not. So I don't know in the main stand or in the Trent end what the disabled toilets are like, or whether there's ever much of a queue for them. So I've been talking to Level Playing Field, who are a charity that lobby football grounds to become more accessible and stoma friendly and things like that. I don't know where Forest are in that league, but obviously it's something that I've become more aware of. The importance of having that, because you can't just. I have to catheterize myself. I have to stick a tube down my dick in order to piss. I can't just stand at the urinal in the A block and do that. You know what I mean? Like fucking Nora. Although I'm sure people would be very helpful, but it's just like not. You need a cubicle to do stuff like that. So hopefully Forest's accessible facilities are good, and if the Peter Taylor stand gets redeveloped, I'm sure they'll be wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose one of the things I was going to ask you, I was planning to ask you this in July when you were going to come on initially because it was a hot topic at the time, but potentially moving from the City Ground to a new stadium where you would have incredible facilities, everything you could want, it would be of zero interest to you then?
I would rather have to stick a tube down my penis where I sat, like in the middle of the A block, not even in the toilet, than move to Toten and have the best accessible facilities in the world. I'd rather my colostomy bag burst all over me in the Upper Trent than be going out to Toten to some bowl. And you just think, oh, man. Also, you just think, the thing that drives me mad is that there is so much space behind the Peter Taylor stand. The space is there. It's not like Anfield where you're just backing onto rows and rows of terraced houses. Obviously, there's an issue with the houses, which is why the Bridgeford stand is the shape it is. But that main stand car park and the club shop, you've got all that. all that area can clearly be developed. So that it's the bureaucracy that's driven me mad, of having 3 separate councils who are all involved, unable to just realise. It drives you mad. You should make life easy for assets like Nottingham Forest. Redeveloping that stadium creates jobs, brings in it sucks in money to that area. It's so good for all of us to have it. It's driven me mad that it's been so slow to get it done. So yes, I never wanted to leave. I never really thought it was going to happen. I think there'd be too much sting. And like, you're going to move from this iconic stadium that has been the difference. I think had we not been at the City Ground, we might not have stayed up that first season.
Oh no, we've gone down. I'm
sure if
we'd
have been at some soulless bowl with no atmosphere, it wouldn't have. You wouldn't have had that intensity. So it's like crucial to our success is staying there. So thank God we don't have to go.
Just before we wrap things up, a quick word for our second sponsors.
Here we are on scene with this chop shop now. Cambridgeshire Constabulary are on scene. Persons have been arrested and detained. And this is what it all looks like inside.
I totally forgot there was audio over that video because it's normally just a slide. But that was
what was that? It was like a police video.
So Global Telemetrics, they put trackers on your vehicles, and then that was a chop shop where a car that had been nicked, an actual BMW that was featured, had been tracked using the tracker to a chop shop, and the police had turned up and nicked everyone. So that was a video of it for those who were listening or watching.
A chop shop?
Yeah, a real chop shop, like gone in 60 seconds.
Oh, so what? They cut the cars up, weld them together, and all that.
That kind of stuff. Yeah, something like that. So there you go. I'm probably asking the wrong person. If you live in London, I bet you've not had a car for years, have you?
No, I haven't. No
need.
But still, I mean, that was what a great sponsor. So they can track your car if it gets nicked.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I need to have you on every week to do these ad reads for me.
Man, that was like, I've never seen an advertiser like it. So you've got the big shed, and you've got car trackers.
Yeah, I've got a window company that fitted my windows. Yeah.
Which window company?
Nottingham Window Company fitting my windows. Yeah. Got home move estate agents, but a big Forest fan called Ben Sales, an estate agent who goes to all the games. Sponsored us for months. Yeah.
Legend.
Yeah. And got a blinds company coming on board as well.
A wine company?
Blinds. Another Forest fan. Just Forest fans who just come up to me and, just sponsor the show. There's value in advertising on podcasts like this, if you're listening.
Definitely. It's all very domestic, isn't it? A home. So the estate agent gets you the home. The window guys will give you the windows. And the blind guy comes and does the blinds.
Yeah. And
if the car gets nicked while all that's going on, Telemetrics will track down the scum.
Yeah.
Man, scum trackers. That's what they should call themselves.
Exactly. Right. I'm going to whistle through some extra bits of admin, and then I'll give Matt a chance to plug a few things. Right. Quick shout out, by the way, for Forest women who won 4-0 against Stoke yesterday. 1,900 fans at the ground, which I think is really good because the attendances are going right up. So they are top of their league again, above Wolves, and they play Wolves in January at the City Ground, which what sort of looks like a title decider, possibly. So
great.
Yeah, well done, Forest women. They're doing very well. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
it's so cool now that they've properly embraced women's football at Forest. Really getting behind it. Because actually, if that takes off as well, having 2 teams doing really well it's double the fun, isn't it? It's like there's even more Forest. It's great. That's what we all need.
Yeah, there's loads. And also, I will say on Wednesday's guest is Chris Brass, who's Forest's player pathways manager, who handles all the loans and all the transitions from the B team to the first team. So we'll discuss players like Zach Abbott, Dale Taylor, players who might make it. So I'm going to pick Chris's brains about that.
That is so cool. There's so many football from the outside. We don't really know all this stuff that goes on. It's so cool being able to get inside that and understand. Because really, it's still a workplace. Forest employ people. It's just that their job is to be gods at football. Man, that's so cool.
Yeah, we shall hear from Chris on Wednesday. A couple of other quick bits. I'm going to make Matt just sit here for one second. You can sign up now for our Patreon. Another slice it is on Matt's podcast, but it's Patreon here. If you want to hear this interview earlier than before it's released more widely, and ad-free, apart from my magnificent ad reads and also Matt's assistance on those, you can get that on Patreon, or you can become a YouTube channel member. And also, I've signed up for Blue Sky because Greg Mitchell has been going on about how good Blue Sky is. So I've set up a personal account and Forest Focus one, so you can find us there as well now. I see you're on it as well, aren't you?
I am. I'm still on X as well.
Yeah, I'm still on X. Yeah, so yeah, we will be as well. Yeah,
I'm not one of those people who's going, "Oh, I have to leave. I must leave." I mean, it's so funny. I'm not a fan of Elon Musk, but it's not everyone on there is Elon Musk. There's great people on there that I'm still interested in hearing from, and lots of social media companies are owned by dicks, and we still use them. I mean, and that goes for all sorts of other companies that we eat their food, we drive their cars, whatever. You got to go where the people are, haven't you? So if there's loads of people on Blue Sky as well, it makes sense to go on there, but you don't have to close all the others down.
No, that's why I went on Blue Sky, to be honest, because it's another way to reach more people. So yeah, but we're still on X and we're on Instagram, and I'm on TikTok as a middle-aged man trying to post things that people like there as well.
This is the Big Shed empire. There is nowhere the Big Shed won't go online.
That's it. We're one big shed. We're one big tent, as they say in politics. I think it's
right. That's right. Yeah, Big Shed politics instead of Big Tent politics.
Exactly. Right, Matt. Anything you want to plug? You've given us your time generously, as ever. Anything you want to say that's going on for you at the moment?
I'm on tour at the moment with my End of an Era tour. I'm doing some dates in Nottingham, actually. I should have got them up. Hang on. I'm such a fool. Hold on. I've got the link here. So I'm doing the Lakeside Arts Centre on the 20th of February, but that one was sold out. So I've added an extra date on the 28th of March at the Lakeside Arts Centre.
Excellent.
So
there you go.
Get your tickets for that.
Good stuff.
And that's all, really.
Listen to all your other podcasts. Political
Party. Oh, yeah. British Scandal, Political Party, Down the Dog.
Yeah. Got it all going on. Very good.
Very good. Mate. I hope this has been okay. I feel like I've just talked a lot of rubbish.
Yeah, but it's international break, and we talk a lot of rubbish on here anyway. We talked a lot of Forest, and I think people will like this. If you did like this, people hit like on it.
Yeah, if you didn't like it, you don't have to tell us.
No,
just hold your peace.
No, don't tell us. Don't tell us. Right, like I say, we are back on Wednesday with Chris Brass, Thursday with an Arsenal preview. Thursday night, we're going to the Football Content Awards to not win for the third year in a row. Myself, Greg, Temps, and Pete and Paul Morley are all going down there for that. And then Friday, opposition preview. And then Saturday, we play Arsenal. So there will be a post-match show for that as well. So it's all going on. All going on. Yeah. Matt Forde, thank you very much.
Matt Davies, thank you very much.
Yes, finally made it happen after almost 6 months. Yes.
And I'm so sorry.
You're a busy man. It's good that you're a busy man. I mean, in all seriousness, it is good that you're a busy man because, you were worried you weren't going to be a busy man.
Well, that's it. Yeah. There's a substantial part of last year where I wasn't very busy at all. So it's good to be back.
Exactly. Good to have Matt back. Good to have Forest back properly. A proper force in English football again. So, yeah, good times. Right. We shall end it there. Have a good day, everyone. If we don't see you on Wednesday, we shall see you soon.